Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some more Call of Duty WWII. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on USS Texas, which is one of my least favorite maps in the game, playing some kill confirmed using the BAR assault rifle, which a lot of people consider to be the most overpowered weapon here within Call of Duty WWII. I think it makes a perfect backdrop for today's topic, which is going to be weapon balance here in Call of Duty WWII, and why it's actually really good, which is going to throw off a lot of people. Watch this right here. I go behind this guy, and I literally one-shot him. He was already pretty hurt, but I literally one-shot him, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, I personally feel as though weapon balance in this game is really good, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, and that is why I personally feel as though the weapon balance in this game is really good. The BAR is a pretty good gun, right? I want to show you guys this clip right here. This is me being outgunned using a Tommy gun by the BAR. Even though I hit him first, I didn't miss any of my shots. He melted me, right? Because the BAR is a ridiculously powerful weapon, which you may think, well, because of that, the weapon balance in this game is actually terrible. Well, the BAR is kind of an exception, I would say. Don't get me wrong, I think the BAR is ridiculously overpowered, and Michael Condrey actually responded to a tweet I made showing him that video, saying that they will likely end up nerfing the BAR again if they don't want to nerf it into the ground, because they want the gun to actually still be viable, and for people that invested time into the gun, they don't want to screw those fans over by making it so it's completely unusable. So they're going to be nerfing it again, but they're taking their time. They're trying to find a nice, happy medium between nerfing the BAR and still making it a usable weapon, which I think is actually a pretty good thing. So you have the BAR, which is kind of like the exception to the balance rule, but after the BAR, look at the other weapons here in this game. Would you say any other weapons are really overpowered? I'm sure you would, actually. I'm sure you have an opinion on what weapon's actually overpowered, but if you ask somebody else, they're going to say, that weapon's not overpowered, what are you talking about? So a good example of this, submachine guns. There's a big debate with submachine guns here in this game. Half the community seems to think that SMGs completely ruin Call of Duty WWII because of the tiny maps and how good they are up close. There's no reason to run pretty much anything besides them, right? But you have the other half of the community, which is talking about the sprint out time, talking about the fact that it takes 6 shots to kill. Half the community thinks the SMGs are trash. The other half thinks they're overpowered. So does that mean the balance is actually pretty good when it comes to submachine guns? You have other weapon categories, like, for example, the sniper rifles. Oh man, the sniper rifles. Even the developers don't know what they want to do when it comes to sniping, because you have developers like Treyarch, who are always so against sniping and quickscoping that they try to remove it from every one of their games. And then you have developers like Sledgehammer, who try to make it so sniping is actually kind of easy in their game. And you may think, well, the snipers are too good here in Call of Duty WWII, because, for example, the Springfield can one-shot you anywhere from the kneecap and up, which seems absurd. But picture it this way. If they were to nerf the snipers in this game to be like they were back in Black Ops 1, we would have a lot more guys like this guy on top of the cannon there, just sitting in the back of the map sniping because he's too afraid to actually move whatsoever, because the snipers would be too hard to use on these relatively small maps. So I can understand why people think snipers are too hard to use here in this game, but at the same time, I can also see why people think they're too easy to use here in this game. There's always going to be a debate there, right? And that's okay, because when it comes to weapon balance here in the Call of Duty franchise, and pretty much every other game out there, it is really hard to have a perfectly balanced game that isn't completely boring. One of the things that actually makes COD interesting is the fact that they're always working on weapon balance. I mean, just the other day, I made a video because they updated Black Ops 3 and rebalanced 8 different weapons in that game, which is absurd to me because that game came out over 2 years ago. The fact that they're still supporting it and still making changes goes to show that they're always going to have to make changes to the weapon balance, because it's too hard to have a perfectly balanced game. We're all entitled to our own opinions. Don't get me wrong. I have my opinions, you have yours, and we're probably going to disagree, but that's okay, because it's never going to be perfect. I think the closest we've ever had to a perfect Call of Duty game in terms of weapon balance, and this is just my opinion, would probably be Modern Warfare 2. And the reason why I say that is because that game had stopping power and no juggernaut. The game made every weapon feel overpowered, right? You're talking like the ACR, the FAMAS, the UMP-45, the SCAR-H, the MTAR, the MP5K, of course, the light machine guns, the intervention. Like, they had so many good guns in that game, not to mention shotgun secondaries. Everything pretty much felt overpowered in Modern Warfare 2, which I think is as close as we've ever been to perfect weapon balance. But even in that game, the FAMAS and the UMP and the ACR still were kind of the top guns in the competitive scene, which most of the time, the competitive weapons are going to be the best weapons in the game. And if you look at any other Call of Duty, like, for example, COD 4, MP5, M16, right? World at War, MP40, Black Ops, FAMAS AK-74U. Every single year, we have a couple of weapons that seem to be a above and beyond better than the rest, but in those games, they didn't make as many balancing changes. In more recent years, they're making changes all the time, and every time they make one change, that makes it so the other guns are going to perform differently. So for example, when they nerf the bar, which again, Michael Condrey says they're looking into potentially nerfing it again, if they nerf the bar, then suddenly, what if the M1941 is the new overpowered weapon? How will that change the meta? Are we going to have to change around the submachine guns after the M1941 suddenly becomes like the best gun in the game? Or are we going to have to make some adjustments to other weapons here and there? It's always going to be changing, which I think is one of the coolest things about the Call of Duty franchise. It keeps the game interesting. Sure, it's frustrating at times. Don't get me wrong. The bar is ridiculously frustrating to die to, and you may be wondering, well, if it's so overpowered, Nero, why are you using it? I can see your kill counter. How can you have over 700 kills with it? Well, the reason why is, of course, I'm going for all the camos and the challenges here in this game, and I did all the other full auto rifles, and now it's time to do the bar, and while I was doing that, I got this gameplay right here. But yeah, weapon balance to me is just one of the most interesting topics here in the Call of Duty franchise, because everybody has a different opinion, and I love talking to you guys about it on Twitter or in the comments of my videos, because to me, it's always very interesting to get someone else's perspective, because everybody has a different opinion on what the weapons are actually like and how they perform and what's good and what's bad and so on and so forth. And to illustrate that, I put up a poll on Twitter today, and sometimes I worry that my polls are a bit too leading, so I didn't want to talk about balance in my videos. I didn't want to like talk about it on Twitter or anything like that. I just randomly out of nowhere put a poll up saying, how is the weapon balance in Call of Duty World War II? And the results are pretty much even between good and bad, which says to me that if we can't agree what's overpowered and what's not overpowered, that the weapon balance is actually heading in the right direction here within Call of Duty World War II. But of course, I'd love to hear what you guys think about that down there in the comment section below. If you're wondering what I would personally do to the game, here are my changes I would do right away if I were king. If I were Michael Condrey, right, I would nerf the bar, and specifically that 3-shot kill range. The fact that it can actually kill any SMG up close faster than any SMG can get a kill is not good to me. That's really bad balancing. So I would nerf that 3-shot kill range. I don't care if it makes it a worse, you know, M1941 or an FG42. Just we have to nerf that and see what happens. I would then buff up a couple of the shotguns, the Luftwaffe and the sawed-off shotgun in particular. And aside from that, I think I would make it so these semi-automatic rifles could fire a little bit faster by default, just to see if that would make them a bit more competitive. And that's all I would really do. I wouldn't want to do like a complete overhaul of the entire game, because again, if you change up one weapon, or even several like I'm talking about here, that is going to completely change up the meta and the feel of the game. So we got to do it with baby steps here, which is kind of what Sledgehammer Games is actually doing. And of course, down there in the comments, I'd love to hear what changes you would make right now if you were king. If you were Michael Condrey and you can make changes, what would you do right now to Call of Duty World War II to make it a more balanced game in your opinion? But right here, I want to focus on the gameplay. It is 61 to 64, now 62 to 64. I'm actually lagging a little bit right there. Have you noticed that flamethrowers and Molotov cocktails on USS Texas make you drop frame rate? Happens all the time to me. But look at the score right now, 62 to 64. I turn the corner, grab that tag, kill that man, but did not get the final tag. They picked up one right before I got that one. We lost 64 to 65. I went 51-5 with 31 confirms and 5 denies. Didn't matter. I was that close to winning the game, but we ended up losing. Let's watch it in slow motion here. Once again, I was that close to victory, but they ended up beating us. We ended up losing. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you guys here in today's video. Thank you all so much for listening. Let me know your thoughts on weapon balance down there in the comment section below. And be sure to stay tuned for tomorrow's video, because there's going to be another update to Call of Duty World War II that may actually change around the weapon balance yet again. They haven't confirmed it. They've only given us hints at it so far. It may happen with tomorrow's update. We're going to have to see. But once again, thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.